For my third artist presentations, I'm looking at Tony Coates. He is an artist and an educator. He was born in Richmond, Virginia in 1956. He studied photography and creative writing at Goddard College. He received his MFA in sculpture from Virginia Commonwealth University in 1985. He currently lives and works in Providence, Rhode Island, where he is professor of media studies at Brown University. He is a self-described post-conceptualist. His body of work has been described as using textual appropriation, cultural studies, a catalog of musical references as wide as it is deep, to merge onto a singular maple of video. As he has put it, his works are all about America in one way or another. Let's take a look at his biennial submissions for the Whitney 2022. Coates' Whitney Biennial 2022 video submission, His Last Words, is one of two submissions. It plays in a street-facing window of the Whitney restaurant where visitors typically see admission prices and adverts highlighting the perks of museum membership. It displays the last words spoken by Elijah McClain, the 23-year-old massage therapist murdered by Colorado State Police in 2019 after restraining him in a chokehold and then dosing him with ketamine. The music is the Welsh indie rock outfit Manic Street Preachers playing Between the Clock and the Bed. The singing is full-throated, trailed by a slight echo. McClain spoke to the police in short sentences, and Coke drops the vowels in each of the words. They blink one at a time, unspooling a nod of pleas and explanations such as, I just can't breathe correctly, I was just going home, try to forgive me, all I was trying to do was become better. His second submission, the Shrink videos, depict text overlaid on footage of a pre-9/11 Giuliani-era New York skyline. The same four songs, Chemicals, No Encore, Shrink, and Your Signs, score a panoply of texts ranging from Susan Buck Morse's tome on Walter Benjamin, Dialectics of Seeing, to a 1988 interview between art historian Kelly Jones and Hammonds, whose blunt rejection of white cultural imperialism plays against guitars rattling electronic beats. This sensory overload of music and text illustrates Coke's own media politics and his ideas about labor and creativity. Don't you know, reads one of Hammonds' responses, scrolling a bit too fast, chasing these stories is what it is. So I think we've seen what kind of art he produces, but let's take a look at it. His Whitney submissions are typical of his work, and here's some descriptions from critics and art historians. Coke's artwork concerns popular culture and mass entertainment. In the 1990s, he was part of the band XPRZ. His videos often take the form of essays in which Coates displays fragments of found text on brightly colored backgrounds set to popular music. He is known to combine quotes from a range of texts from critical theory, cultural studies, art criticism, and news reports. His sources include Louis Althusser, Malcolm X, Public Enemy, and William Burroughs. He has been working in his field since the 1980s and has developed his visual style to incorporate animated text, found images, and solid colors. Using color theory, coded text, and audio materials, he creates works that often examine themes that carry out a political resonance and challenge capitalist structures. A key component of his work is the use of cultural fragments to reframe ideas and narratives, decontextualizing accepted stories in order to make us question the norms of current society and unearth social injustices. He forces us to rehear, re-see, and rethink the stream of information that we receive across the screens, pages, and public and private spaces in the era of fake news, post-truth, and alternative facts. Let's take a look at some of his work. This is one of his early works, 1988. It's now found in the Bronx Museum. It's called Black Celebration. He writes, this videotape involves the riots that took place in the Watts section of Los Angeles in August 1965 and the black neighborhoods of other American cities during the 1960s. The black and white work uses newsreel footage interspersed with text commentary. The newsreel voiceovers are replaced by music. The intent of the piece is to introduce a reading that will contradict received ideas which characterize these riots as criminal or irrational. Here's a quote. "I kept ending up in odd places," Koch says, describing the circuitous route he took to becoming an artist. He attended several professional schools and liberal arts institutions where he would experiment with still photography and performance, mining his own family history for material. The Book of Love from 1992 is a way that he did use his family history. It's a portrait of his mother in the form of an interview and a song, perforated by questions, insistences, and doubts that scroll by in lengthy ribbons of text. Long, abrupt silences puncture her narrative to create an uncertain sense of who his mother is. She is perceived in fragments and magnifications exceeding the frame of the video. Um, it was mentioned he was in this art band, those wild and crazy 90s, X-Prez. It was a biracial art band, 4 artists, including Tony, Doug Anderson, Kenneth Armstead, and Mark Pearson. They were working in installation, photography, painting, sculpture, and video. They existed from 1991 to 2000. The group was dedicated to the production of engaging, hybridized, and humorous cultural actions. This is what Koch says. "We tend to manipulate cultural readings, desires, and effects rather than attempt to address the social in documentary or realist styles. The work relies on vernacular material, such as found images and text, which are contextualized to provoke questioning and instabilities. We see our work as a willful misreading and perverse misapplication of the histories of various cultural practices, from critical theory to pop music." This is one of the videos made by the X-Prez group in 1995. So let's go on to 2019. He's much more developed, as you can see. His submission before and after the studio to this exhibit, Coalition in the Shed, investigates the role of the artist studio, exploring the relationship between the artist studio, and gentrification, its architecture, its shaping of artwork, and its forming of mythologies. This slide shows exhibition views of Tony Koch's Music, Text, Politics from the Macra Museum in Barcelona, 2020-2021. This video installation was displayed at street level in Barcelona. It shows 3 boards similar to a Jeopardy board. The tiles contain quotes, many from Kanye West. Here we're seeing one slide of Tony's Free Britney video shown in 2022 at the Carnegie Museum of Art. "What do you mean, a Free Britney movement?" the artist Tony Koch wondered in November 2021, when news broke that pop star Britney Spears' 13-year conservatorship had been annulled. He recounted this moment in an interview. Over slides of text to a score of chronologically ordered selections from her discography, the video portrays the multi-platinum singer's efforts to fight her alleged oppressors. Koch, hardly a devoted fan of Spears' music, nonetheless became fascinated by the notion that someone so publicly visible could have been imprisoned privately for half of her adult life. He was fascinated, too, by the fact that self-proclaimed soldiers of the Britney Army had long been interpreting her lyrics as a covert SOS. This slide shows his installation in the Paris International 2022. Simple, colorful, clear. He's talking about, I think, consumerism. So, in conclusion, what do I have to say about Tony Koch? He's an artist who uses his art to reflect upon, understand, and communicate the issues of race, politics, popular culture, and violence in our society. As a Black artist, much of his work has been focused on racial issues in the U.S., but he delves into other areas as well, including Britney Spears, the real estate market in New York, and even a look back at Hitler's 1936 Olympic Games and the subsequent tragedy of the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich. Once he found his niche with video and music, he has continued to develop it. My only regret in reviewing this artist is that it's difficult to find and play his full videos online. I was able to find and listen to his Whitney submission, His Last Words. It was very moving. I hope to attend some of his exhibitions in the future. Until then, I know he will continue to expose the evils of our society with music and video. Thank you.